Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Zhang from the Kirin Capital. This is our first time Kirin Talk program. Kirin Talk is a program to share the story of Vietnamese founder, and we are very honored to ask our first time interview Ms. Hằng to our program. Ms. Hằng is a founder of the Ladee. Ladee?
Yeah, Ladee.
Ladee is a product to produce the washing liquor for the female underwear. What is the story behind her company? And that is what we are going to talk today. Okay? So Ms. Hằng, can you introduce a little bit about your personal experience, like your age or background, something?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to the show. It's my pleasure to be here and share my own story. So I'm Hằng Lê, and I am the co-founder of Ladee, which is the intimate healthcare brand for women. And our first product is the liquid detergent for women's underwear. I was born in the central province in Vietnam, quite small one, near Da Nang, which is Quảng Ngãi, and I grew up there. I always inspired to study abroad from my cousin. So when I get into the first year at the university, I starting to seek for opportunity, and I happened to know about Finland and that one very good university, which is Aalto. So I take SAT, get into the school, and then one thing turned to another, and finally I spent like 8 years in Finland. Like also have experience working for MNC, like Nokia and like more well-known Nokia, and also another company named Meso.
Okay. So first, I'm quite curious because I think the weather in Vietnam is quite hot, but I think the weather in Finland is quite cold. So how is the life in the Finland? How do you feel that place?
Actually, like life in Finland is very peaceful. Like because
boring.
I'm gonna try to say boring, but actually, people think it's boring. However, in university time, we have a very like close group of friends, and we always have international student coming in. The student life in Finland is very rich in culture. They have a lot of like student activities. A lot of things are going like student club, and then like competition, case study. So the weather is a bit hassle for me after my time in university. It's like when you get into when I starting my working life, when I enter the work, it's still like maybe a bit of sun, but then when I get out of work, it's already like very dark and gloomy. So I feel like I don't feel very good at that time when I starting to enter my working life, and it make me feel like that's the time actually when I starting to miss the more vibrant working life back in Asia.
What is your major during the university?
So in university, like I choose to study information system management. My major in my bachelor is business technology, and I continue with my master program in that area. And after that, I worked for a few years being an analyst with some kind of CRM system and strategy analyst. And finally, I work with Nokia as the digital financial specialist.
So when you come back from the Finland to the Asia, so your first job was in Singapore, right?
Yeah. So it just like happened by accident. Is that I want to work for startup, so I starting to searching for the e-commerce, which is a field that I'm interested back at that time. So I'm looking for stuff in that field, and then I write a letter to the CEO. So he said, okay, interesting. I think we can work together, and that's how it all starts.
Okay, but what kind of the stuff you work in Singapore?
The startup in Singapore is very famous model group by e-commerce. Mm-hmm. So this model I think is very famous in China. Yeah, this is very similar.
Social e-commerce.
Yeah, but then this is a big difference is that it is like location based.
Can you explain more about the location based?
So for example, in every building, we will looking for one person named agent. And that person is going to gather the order from the family inside that order, and then we send as a group so this is more like location based.
Okay, so just like some people to play the role of the representative of these buildings people.
Yeah.
And buy something in a kind of lower price.
Yeah.
From the shop and to delivery.
Yeah.
For the shop.
Yeah.
To the customers, right?
Yes. So they earn commission from. So the whole thing is kind of. The startup has the proper app, very much like Shopee, But the thing is that for every end customer, they have to choose via agent, and they have to come to the agent's location to pick up. Yeah, and the agent earn commission from that.
Yeah, in Chinese, this kind of person called 团长,
Ah, yeah.
leader of the team.
Actually, my boss was Chinese,
Oh, yeah.
and then he working for like the similar company back in China. So maybe now I kind of remember the Chinese word for it.
Yeah. I think this kind of model is quite makes sense in South Asia, because from the perspective of the shops, because logistic cost is quite big in South Asia market. In that way, because you use the 团长, the team leader, to play the role of the last mile's logistic.
Yeah.
So maybe in some way it makes sense to save the logistic cost in the e-commerce business in South Asia.
Yeah.
So back to your story, what is your working content in that Singapore company, the e-commerce one?
So the time I start with the company is very small. It's like
How many people?
less than 15.
Oh.
So at that time, because the company is so small, so I get to experience like a lot of things, like sales, operations, until marketing. And even I'm a Vietnamese and live in Singapore, but one of my job is to recruit Asian, which is Singaporean lady in Singapore or over the place. So eventually I become like very good with a small talk, because I need to do that with the Asians.
So, how do you think the life in Singapore? I think it's hotter than Finland.
Hectic. This is very different culture comparing like Asian and Northern European. So for example, back in Europe, it's like my boss never asked for my WhatsApp number, because for them this is like violate privacy, and they never like message me outside working hours, and they have a quite like strict working hours. But back in Asia, is like your boss can call you anytime, and like it's polite to return back the call.
So how's the difference between the Vietnam and Singapore?
I think Singaporean even work harder than Vietnamese. People keep on talking about 4C, because they talking about car, credit card. I think the other is condo, which is like quite expensive to purchase. How do you feel? You are from Shanghai, right?
Shanghai is more competitive.
Okay.
Yeah, because some of my friends, they work in the same company in China and Singapore. Singapore is the branch of that Chinese company, but they will get out of the work in Shanghai maybe around 10 o'clock. But Singapore is only 7 o'clock. The same company, a different location. So
it makes a lot of sense. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because the founder of the company, of the startup in Singapore, is actually Chinese, mainland Chinese, that moved to Singapore.
Oh yeah.
So like
super hardworking.
Yeah, super hardworking.
But I think you work in a Singapore e-commerce company. You do the fresh grocery category.
Yep.
And then you go back to the Vietnam to do the this kind of the female washing liquor category. I think it's a big gap, big change. So first, why you quit the job in Singapore?
Yeah. So like when working for startup, I also have like the dream of like building something on my own. So I feel like after spending 2 years in startup, and then actually another half a year working remotely from Vietnam, but for another startup in Singapore, I feel like, okay, I want to apply my knowledge. I want to apply all the hardworking attitude or the thing I learned from this startup into building something on my own. So I start to revise what I want to do, and actually it's just like my personal experience is that it is quite a long story. Back in the time when I was in Finland, so where I start my relationship, right, like dating.
Finland?
Yeah, back in Finland. So I starting to have a woman's problem. You know, like the thing when women usually face when they in a relationship, and it lasts for quite a long time. So I have been in and out clinic. You know, but then I keep quite frustrated because like it keep on reappearing again and again. So until the point that I feel like I can live with it. So I live with the symptoms, because in my mind it's a quite minor thing. it's just a small like yellow thing that it will not affect too much my life. When it is too much, then I will find the old medicine that the doctor subscribed and then just bought something over the counter. So it lasts in Finland, it lasts in Singapore, it lasts in Vietnam. But when I met my sister-in-law, she's actually a gynecological doctor. She's starting to actually show me, like, she's starting to open up the whole new world for me, maybe. It's like, because of that attitude that I have been ignorant to myself, right, regarding to my illness, to my disease, because I think it's not important, it can lead to a very serious issue, like it will affect my ability, my fertility, like my ability to have baby. Yeah, and then to curb that, if in case something bad happen, it's very costly, because like nowadays, like a lot of like people have problem with that. So she's starting to help me out, to examine, to give me treatment, and then to follow up with me. So after that, I starting to be better. I no longer have the symptoms. So actually one thought about it is that, and then at that time, I helping out my sister-in-law and my brother to set up a Shopee store, which they sell the hygiene liquid, which is very good selling. I mean, like we even sell like even up to 1,000 orders per month back in that time. And I also think from my own experience is that even I with a degree, like uni degree, but I don't take a very good attitude or good thinking about my own health. I think a lot of women out there may have the same problem, that we don't really have the right care for our woman's body. So I think that is the reason why I'm choosing like this area. So we're starting with the startup accelerator in Ho Chi Minh City, where I met my co-founder now. And then we start first actually with a different idea than what we are doing now. We want to utilize artificial intelligence to diagnose the type of disease, the type of gynae disease that women have, based on the color of their discharge on the underwear, not the image, on the underwear. However, after quite a few months trying out, we decide to pivot it into the current product.
Yeah, I think so. I heard the story from your co-founder, because I think it's kind of common in the local startup market, because some founders, they maybe come from Europe or American or some other developed country, and they want to copy from some model or product from the Europe or the American to the local market. Sometimes maybe makes sense, just like I think Grab is also a kind of the copy from the Silicon Valley to the South Asia, but sometimes that doesn't make sense, because different countries, especially some Europe and American country, and Vietnam has lots of differences in terms of culture, in terms of the economic condition.
Yeah.
So yes, maybe sometimes we have to do something to adapt to the local market better. So now your product is basically, what is your target audience for this liquor?
So our product is like the liquid detergent for women, for them to starting to take a very from basic thing, is to wash their underwear after taking a shower immediately, and not to like washing it together with different type of clothes to avoid cross contamination. So our target customer at this moment is from 18 to 27 years old. So we start with we're starting with a young segment of women, because we want to utilize social media. We want to utilize TikTok, which is where the majority of our target customer is using.
So how much for the product on average?
So the product is selling at 90,000 Vietnam dong for 280 milliliter, which can use for up to 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Or are there lots of the players to doing this thing in Vietnam, or main player in Vietnam to selling this kind of thing?
So this product is actually quite new to Vietnamese market. The player in the market just starting from within a year. So from last year there was one which is doing quite well, and then from that there is a few more products like focusing on this area. But I would say like from the amount of selling, I think they have that the total competitors haven't reached like the target audience much. There is still like a lot of room for all the competitors to actually grow and grow more.
Yes, indeed. I think overall it's kind of the healthy category. And I just talked with some venture capitalists a few days ago. They said there are some trendy stuff in the Vietnam. First is about the e-commerce, because more and more people buy things on the internet. And second is about the e-commerce related things, just like a fintech. But some people said that the medtech is maybe a trend in the future, because people, I think especially young people in Vietnam, they, just like you focus more on your own health in this way. But I think now you just sell, if I understand it's correct, you just sell one product, right? But I think if you want to do this business in a long term, you cannot just sell one product. So what is your future plan? Just like if you do you want to expand to more SKU or go to different business model or something?
Okay, so like this product certainly is our starting point for the women healthcare market that we want to enter, and then absolutely we want to expand our D2C branding into women healthcare, and especially for intimate healthcare. At the same time, we want to connect with the doctors. Because from our last experience, when we are selling with the doctors, the customer is actually will have like, first of all, they're going to have more belief in the product, and second thing I think which is more important is like customer, when they buy our product, maybe a lot of them have a problems actually, which they don't feel necessary to go to the hospital waiting for 1 or 2 hours, or they don't feel like going to Google, they don't feel like any like incredible source out there, so they can seek for our doctor, which is our partner, and ask for questions relating to the health problems. And then from that we can open up a lot of opportunity for us for like the medtech, which we connecting women with the experts.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think one thing, I think there are two things. The first is about the trust, because this healthy category is different from the clothes or some summer, because there are lots of the information gap between two sides. Normally the people don't know what category, what kind of the medical things or the healthy thing is good or not, because they don't have this kind of the expert knowledge. So yes, if you have some doctor to share some information, share some knowledge, it will be better to make people feel reliable of this product. And I think in China there are some companies just like the Dingxiang Yisheng, similar. They just to make to find lots of the doctor as their KOC or KOL, and to share some knowledge about some healthy issue and some body issue, to make people know more about the healthy problem. And in the future they can sell some healthy product on their e-commerce platform. So this is a business model. I think it's kind of make sense, at least in China. It's just like kind of the medical MCN. Maybe. I think in the future, because in the long term, your business model need to get connect with lots of doctors, and also you have to handle all the supply chain to take over the category, the product thing. So it should be quite busy. So how is your daily life when you start your business?
My daily life is actually like also very busy. I think one of the big part is like I need to control my schedule comparing to before I work for the company or like even corporation or startup. Is like I always have a team, like big team to work with, and then we have a lot of resource actually to do things. But nowadays, like my daily life is like at first I need to think, okay, what is the urgent task the urgent tasks I need to do for the day with the team. And then because we have a quite limited resource, so we need to really like utilize everything. So so I feel like my brain is constantly thinking like from the work. This is something that I also trying to reduce. So I try to balance between work and then also need to keep myself healthy, like go exercise and go play sports with my friends.
Yeah. So how do you think the future of the industry you are working in, this medical healthy category stuff?
Actually, I do have a lot of belief in this industry, in the health tech industry, and especially health tech for women, because my observation is that most of the startup is mostly like fintech, is mostly like blockchain, fintech, e-commerce, and even for medtech is for general. There haven't been much focus for women health care. Even women is like 50% of the population, and then we bearing child, and then we do a lot of like whenever woman bearing a child, there's a lot of like physical thing that going through. So and then just the process of having a child is also like very difficult nowadays. So I feel like women health tech hasn't gained enough attention, and because it hasn't gained enough attention, it hasn't have a lot of like innovation in this area. So I really hope that there will be more things going in this industry. And as a woman, I also feel like there should be more like education for women to really taking a good care of our health.
Indeed, I think the female in the Vietnam is quite hardworking.
Yeah.
However, they should be taken care of better.
Thanks for saying that.
Thank you. Okay, this is our first episode. We are talking about the story of the Miss Hằng, a story from the Finland to Singapore and go back to the Vietnam for making Vietnamese female have a healthy lifestyle. Thank you, Miss Hằng. Thank you. And thank you all guys to hope you like this story. And if you like the story, please subscribe us. Thank you. See you next time. See you.